Welcome, friends, and welcome back to my channel. I am Yvonne Davis, author, astrologer, and life transformation coach. And here on my channel, I do general astrology and political astrology. And for those of you who have been here a long time, you know that I've started doing a political astrology video that I post every Friday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. So here it is. And also, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. If you like this video, click like, share with your friends and family and on social media, and feel free to leave comments. I try to read every single comment and respond to as many as I possibly can. So I just love interacting with you and creating community. So let's go ahead and take a look at the chart I have for you today. And this is going to relate to Donald Trump's Ukraine call. So the call took place on July 25th at 9. It started at 9:03 a.m. and it ended at 9:33 a.m. So the reason why I want to show this to you is because I discovered something really interesting that I think would be interesting for you to see astrologically. So the first thing I want to show you is over here is the sun, and opposite is the vertex, which is fate. So the sun is in Leo, his first house of self, because he has a Leo ascendant, and opposite in the house of others is the vertex. So there's something fated here that was happening at that moment in time. And the other thing I think is really interesting is the fact that the moon was conjunct Uranus. And usually what that means is that something shocking and surprising happens. And obviously there were people who were completely stunned. They were so shocked by what he was saying on that call that many people felt it necessary to come forth and tell the truth about what had happened on that call. And that's what it brought it to our attention as the public and Congress. And of course, we know what happened after that. So that's pretty amazing because, like I said, you know, moon conjunct Uranus, things that are shocking and surprising. And this was so shocking that somebody felt the need to come out and file that whistleblower's report. Okay, so the next thing I want to have you look at is the opposition here with Pluto, the South Node, and Saturn over here in a sixth house of work, conjunct his vertex, which is also, as I said, that's fate. And remember, this is for July 25th, at the moment that that call took place. And opposite over here was Venus, conjunct Mercury retrograde, in his 12th house Cancer, which are things that are hidden. The 12th house are things that are hidden. And it was conjunct his natal Venus, Saturn in the 12th house. So this I have been showing you for a long time, what's happening in these houses, because this is what's really going to be explosive here, is we see these planets here, Pluto, South Node, Saturn, moving into position to his vertex, which is fate, but it's also opposite his Saturn-Venus conjunction. And this is the alignment that I really want you to look at here, is the Venus conjunct Mercury retrograde, because we're going to see that again. Okay, so I'm going to bring up the next chart. Let me see here. We're going to look at Donald Trump's chart at the moment that they had the formal impeachment inquiry vote that just happened on October 31st. And it's very interesting. Here we have the vertex on his Pluto. Pluto is all about power. And here we see again Venus conjunct Mercury retrograde. It's in a different position, a different sign, but Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. So I find this very interesting that the very day that they made a vote to formalize the impeachment inquiry, we had Venus conjunct Mercury retrograde again, and pretty much the same degrees. I think that's very interesting, and we're going to see this show up again. So we got to keep this in mind, okay? Now, what else was really interesting about this? Now you can see that rack of doom that I talk about so often with the blue line here. That's the quincunx, the blue line on the other side, and then the cross in the center. These two red lines crossing in the center. That's called the rack of doom. But what was so interesting was that we didn't hear about the whistleblower's complaint until Saturn went direct on September 18th, and then it conjoined the South Node on the 27th, and Pluto went direct about the same time. So all three of these things, once they happened, all about the same time, that's when the information was unearthed, because that's what Pluto does. It brings the truth up to the surface for people to see. So as soon as it went direct, that's what we saw. And then over here, the North Node is moving into position over his Mercury, which is all about communication, squaring Neptune, which is all about things hidden and lies and deceit and things like that. So this is very karmic here, moving into position over his Mercury. And by the way, it's also in the same position as the new moon eclipse on July 2nd. And that phone call took place within 10 days after the full moon eclipse. So this was so unbelievably karmic. It's just mind-blowing. Okay, so that was the second thing I wanted you to look at, and in particular to pay attention to the Venus-Mercury retrograde conjunction, because I'm going to show you one more thing here that I think will be really interesting. And that's when we get to the May 22nd Gemini new moon in 2020. Now, a lot of people want to know if Trump will be removed from office. So I want to say very clearly what I think will happen, and this is the same prediction that I've been making since the July full moon and new moon eclipses. What I've said is that they would have a formal impeachment inquiry, which they're having now. Then they will vote, and I made another video where I predicted that they won't vote on impeachment until December 12th. Now, a lot of people think it's going to happen sooner than that, but I'm still sticking to that approximate date, possibly even that exact date, December 12th. And that's when they'll have the vote in the House to impeach Donald Trump, and then they will have a trial in the Senate. But I have not been willing to make a prediction that they will actually remove him from office, because impeachment is just an indictment, basically. Then he goes to trial in the Senate, and then the Senate has to vote on whether or not to remove him. And because the Senate is ruled by the Republicans, they have the majority, it is extremely unlikely that they will actually vote to remove him from office. So in other words, he would end up staying president through to the end of his term. And so I think the real question is not whether or not he will be removed, but whether or not he will win the next election in November 2020. And that one, I've still continued to do a lot of research on that, studying the charts, looking what other astrologers are saying, looking at the techniques that they're using, listening to my intuition. And I still cannot reach the conclusion that he absolutely cannot win. I think there are there's definitely things against him. There's no doubt about that. But I'm not yet convinced that he can actually, whether or not he can actually win. I haven't concluded on that yet. But let's look at this event here on May 22nd, because what we see here is we see another Venus-Mercury conjunction, and this time Venus is retrograde, and it's right over his north node. So I think basically karma is coming back. So this issue is not going to go away. Even if he's not removed from office, this issue is not going to go away. So just keep that in mind, because I don't want you to be just feel totally devastated if he's not removed after impeachment. We still have a chance to get him out of office when the next election comes. And I don't think that this issue of the Ukraine call and all of his karma is going to go away. It's not going to go away. So we just have to hold out hope that we can beat him in the 2020 election. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop right there, because I think that's enough information to take in right now. And if you have any questions, by the way, I think I will show you one more thing, which is the conjunction of Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn over here, all retrograde. Now, the retrogrades are extremely important because they reveal information that was hidden. When they go retrograde, they reveal information. And then when they go direct, they reveal information. So the battle will not be over, I can assure you of that. And this is also forming a boomerang yod here, with the quincunx here to his ascendant conjunct his Mars, and then the quincunx over here to his Sun North Node, and then the opposition to his Venus and Saturn in the 12th house over here. So there's a lot going on. This is not over, not by a long shot. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring this to a close now. So I hope that was interesting. I know the technique that I was using there was maybe a little bit sort of esoteric. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And if you want a private reading, just click on the link below. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring this to a close. I hope that was helpful, and I will look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye-bye.